This is a stack out of a Story & Clark upright player piano. Just finished rebuilding it, and it's going to be, we'll deliver it tomorrow and get it installed in the piano. I didn't do any work on the piano. They just brought the player innards to me to work on and rebuild. So this got everything redone on it, all new valves, pouches, all new pneumatic cloth. I had to make all new stationary leaves for the pneumatics where they glued onto the deck boards. They just kind of split to pieces, so those all had to be made new. And I redesigned the valves a little bit. This system has some good points and it has some bad points. The valves sit on a threaded stem. Let me kind of focus there. Some of the things they did right, they put the outer valve seat, or made it larger, which is good, than the inner one. But these valves sit on a threaded stem, and the only thing really that holds them in place is the fact that the leather has a small hole in it which threads onto the stem. There's no collars or anything, so that made a really kind of mushy valve that was hard to set the valve travel because the leather moved a little bit. I mean, that was on purpose to allow the valve seat to flex a little bit on the stem, but what that also did was allowed the leather to flex, and it was really hard to set your gap properly. So I installed some little collars that I threaded onto the stems on the vacuum side of each of these, and that helped quite a bit. I also added more screws. The whole upper valve seat is ganged in 3 different boards. There's 3 sections, and when I got the player, this top area right here was splitting away, so obviously the number of screws they had in here was insufficient, so I went ahead and doubled up the number of screws they had in there holding the top cover on. And yes, those are Phillips head. I went to 3 different hardware stores trying to find slotted flathead screws, and I did not have time to order new ones, and so it just drives me crazy, but we had to get it done. So anyway, another thing I changed was the top valve seat had leather on the bottom, which was just to screw onto the stem, and then it also had a finer grade of leather on the top, which made the seal to the other side of the upper seat, which was just bare wood. And then there was a blotter paper gasket between the chest and the upper valve seats. And I actually changed the design to be more like a cable, where I just sanded the leather off and sanded the top of the washer flat and left it bare. And then I punched out a new leather gasket for the top chest that included basically creating the top leather seat for all the valves. If you've ever opened up a cable piano, those are kind of the same way, where all the leather for the top valve seats is one big sheet of leather that's glued on. That's about the extent of the modifications I made to the valves. So let's turn it on and see how it goes. Motor to crank up here. So we've got it just under 10 inches. And it's doing pretty well. That's, yes, we have no bananas, by the way. So just for fun, let's lower the suction a bit here. Get it down to about 3 inches. Just a little under 3. And we're still going. I can get it down to about 2 inches here before it just sort of completely loses its seal. Okay, there's 1.5. So we've still got enough suction to seat the valves. The air motor has stopped at 1.5 inches. So let's turn it back up to, that's about a little under, about 9 inches right there. And we'll give the air motor a test to see. Just kink the hose here. I think that's about as slow as you'd ever want it to go. I think she's ready. Here's the pump unit out of the Story and Clark player. And if you've ever worked on these, the bellows are screwed and glued onto the main trunk line. I've got it upside down here just so that it's easier to pump it up and demonstrate it. So anyway, I had to make brand new boards because the old ones were destroyed, getting sawn up and chiseled off. So let's go ahead and pump it up. And so we're just a little after 12 on there, and then we can see how long we go. So we just hit 30 seconds. There's 45. So there it's been a minute. We still got some suction in there. Not much, but just a bit. And we're done. And we got about 1 minute 15 seconds. That is not bad.